next opportunity to improve, right? You know, we're going to put the game to bed from Saturday, and then it's about doing my absolute best to prepare the team to play next Saturday. We can't live in the shoulda, coulda, woulda, if, then, all that.
Gators and Mississippi State kick off at 12 o'clock on Saturday. Catch the game live on 1010XL. It's 81 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Mia O'Brien is on assignment. She'll join us in the final segment of the program today. But Taylor, we are here to talk all things football. And watching last night's Monday Night Football game, I feel like it does give Jaguars fans some hope. And that is Kirk Cousins. For the longest time, everyone said he was terrible on primetime football. People said he wouldn't come back from that Achilles injury. People said he wasn't a clutch quarterback, all those things. He went into one of the most electric atmospheres in all of the NFL. And in the final 2 minutes was able to put his team into a position to win the football game. I think that can give Jaguars fans hope because you can turn things around. You can write a different story. It doesn't always have to be the quote-unquote same old Jags.
Yeah. I think Kirk the last few years, though, has been shifting that because it was forever that he couldn't win primetime, and then he won a few back-to-back-to-back now. So I think that Kirk also has this that always held over him. And I think that in the optimistic light, yes, like it's not the end of the world. Things can change eventually. But I do think that we also, one of the things that in that same light that stuck out to me is Kirk was able to do that. You get a little over a minute and a half, I think it was, in the final to go down and score and win, and you did. And the Jags had multiple opportunities the first two games to do that and couldn't.
And yes, you're right. He started to win more prime time recently, but I think people said, well, that's because he has Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. And I think that to me has been the most frustrating part through the first two games is Brian Thomas Jr. could be the next superstar at wide receiver. And that isn't getting the Jaguars over the hump. The addition of him hasn't to this point gotten them to win a football game. And yet I feel like, have so many things wrong that it's not just that. It's not, I said after week one, the offense has to go through Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
It's not that simple. There's a lot wrong, but it can turn around quickly. The Falcons couldn't beat the Steelers in week one and looked like garbage, and people were already wondering about Michael Penix Jr. So the fact that, yes, the Texans are the only team in the AFC South with a win right now. They have two. If the Jaguars take care of business the next 2 weeks, so of course against the Bills on Monday Night Football and then against the Texans, they'll have the same record as the Texans. So it's not so much doom and gloom. Maybe it's because the sun is finally shining and it's in the 70s
well, if the Texans
outside.
lose this next week.
Right. The Texans have to lose next week and then lose to the Jaguars. Then they have the same record.
Yeah. Which that would be honestly pretty shocking in my opinion. I just think the Texans are playing out better coached team right now, a better team in general. Which that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I know a lot of people were tired of hearing it over the offseason, but it is what it is. I mean, it was an already pretty good team with a rookie quarterback, and people are only expecting him to keep getting better, and they're only expecting the addition of Danielle Hunter to make the defense even better. Some of the questions they did have maybe with the defense seems like they've been able to figure it out with Lassiter. He's played really well. So everything that they've added has benefited their team in a positive way. So it's okay to admit that. It's okay to say, like, they're a good football team. But I think that with the Jags, when it comes to, you have to take care of business and quick. When you're watching teams, and on the other side of the ball last night, the Eagles should be highly concerned about their defense, because the secondary looks terrible. They're blown coverages like crazy. They had a ton of penalties that ended up leading to the Falcons being able to be where they were in certain game situations anyways, even that close. Because if we saw the 2 years ago defense that the Eagles were playing, this game wouldn't have looked like that. So if I was Eagles fans, I'd be kind of concerned of what your defense looks like right now.
But they'd also be sitting here going, well, if Barkley just catches that ball on 3rd and 3, then we're talking about winning, and the Eagles are 2-0.
Yeah, and that's what there's a couple of those plays because also the Ray McLeod dropped one too in the red zone. So the same things that we're shouting here, other teams are shouting. People drop passes. Offensive lines aren't great. Your defense doesn't make every play. There's a lot of things being figured out in the first couple of weeks of the NFL in general, and I'll go over later with my tangent brought to you by Chick-fil-A of some of the things that maybe surprising stat-wise throughout the league, and it just shows how this is a very small sample of numbers, and that's what someone tagged us on Twitter, Trevorville, which he's fantastic. He always listens. He always tags us in a lot of different statistical figures and stuff like that, but it had the Jags as like the top drop percentage in the league. To me, that's just very misleading because the ones that lead in those drops are a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., who's barely been able to get the ball. Like it's hard if you have only 6 targets and you drop 2 of those, that percentage is going to be bad. So to me, this is such a small sample size that I don't think you can technically do a full critique on drop percentage yet or pressure percentage because I think there's just too small of a sample size. Once you get to weeks 4, 5, 6, I think that's when you can really analyze which part of your team is good and which part of your team is bad.
Well, and if you look at the Jag season last year, the first 11 games, everything was not perfect, but certainly things were going really well at 8-3 because they went on that 5-game win streak. But then the back half of the season, there was the collapse. So really in totality is what you need to be able to evaluate. Do you make the playoffs or not? That's really the first statistic. But of course, this is what we have to go on. And that's what we're here to do is analyze what we've seen. I would play a little bit of devil's advocate as far as the Texans go, because I don't think the Colts are a great football team. And the Texans barely beat them 29-27 week 1. And then not saying anything anti-Bears because obviously you're a diehard Bears fan. But of course, the Bears are playing a rookie quarterback, have used, as you've detailed, so many new pieces, and they only scored 19 points in week 2.
But that's not the offense. Our defense, I think, is a top 5 defense right now. And so I do think that they also don't have to be. And that's the thing. I don't think the Texans have even had to play their best football because they haven't played 2 teams that are really good. But I still have seen they almost like can push the brakes and be like, we're fine because we don't have to put all of our weapons out there. Nico Collins is consistently making incredible catches. I mean, toe tap catches on the sideline anywhere that they're able to put the ball they can. Joe Mixon is a monster. He's going to add to that run game a lot. And so that's
like he's hurt for at least a lot.
He got banged up this last week. So maybe that's beneficial when it comes to this matchup in a couple weeks. But I think that they are a team that is good and they know they do not have to. They're also putting things together. They have a lot of several new pieces too, especially defensively and some of their big playmakers and a Joe Mixon who new. So I do think that the Texans don't even have to play their best football and they can win games. And that's what's kind of scary.
Yeah, so the Texans are at the Vikings this Sunday. So I think that'll be a good referendum game because of how well the Vikings have done. And certainly Sam Darnold has really had a renewed vigor, basically, when it comes to the league. And this isn't a conversation yet of Jags-Texans. It was more, I'm trying to tell fans to calm down just a little bit, that the sky isn't falling, because there are other teams in the league that are also having games where if it was just one play different, the result would be obviously very different. The passing game for the Jaguars offense, that is an incredible struggle right now. And that absolutely has to be fixed, or we're not even going to talk about the Jaguars' playoff hopes in a few weeks because we're going to say that the Jaguars are 0-4 at that point in time.
Yeah, you have to find consistency there. And I think that there are going to be those growing pains when we talk about, number one, Brian Thomas Jr. is new. So it's not going to be all of a sudden this fantastic connection that he has had with Kirk the last couple years. But that's what scares me. Christian Kirk has been his security blanket, and we've barely seen Christian Kirk. -1 yards last week, and I know the one penalty, but that would have been like 4 yards or something. It would have been a touchdown, but it's not like all of a sudden Christian Kirk was going to have 50 yards. So that is more concerning to me than maybe some of the growing pains with Brian Thomas Jr. and some of the miscommunication there. I think without Evan Ingram, that does alter your offense, but then Brenton Strange had a pretty good, especially in that first couple quarters, he looked good. So it wasn't like you were completely like, oh no, if Evan Ingram was here, this game would be completely changed. I think there's a lot of, and this is what I was talking to Mike about, I think a lot of it does still come down to the offensive line, because I think that the offensive line not giving Trevor the time to throw a half a second on some of these plays could lead to a reception. That's just how quickly this game works. And so when you don't have that, when you still can't run the ball before contact, everything is coming after contact, which great. I'm glad that the running backs are able to do that. I'm glad they're still getting 5.5 yards per carry when they have to bust through offensive lines. But at some point, you want them to have some holes to work with and see some green at some point, because you watch other teams and running backs are getting 15, 20 yards because they are finding these gaps, or the offensive line's creating these gaps for them.
Yeah, that was our whole conversation yesterday. Mia's point was the whole offense is broken, the playbook's bad, and they need to figure out basically how to rework that entirely. I said I think it's the offensive line that's the massive issue, because we watch week in and week out, and our quarterback can't get comfortable in the pocket because of everything that goes wrong around him. And look, the safety, you can rip the play call you want, and I understand it's not a great play call for the situation you're in.
Yeah, definitely not.
But Myles Garrett is one of the biggest game wreckers in all of the league. You have to have a plan to protect your quarterback from him. And so when those guys are getting blown up, and look, I think Mitch Morse has been a great addition. I think there was only maybe one play in the press box on Sunday where I thought, oh, he's on his rear end, and that's not good. But other than that, I think he's been great. But outside of him, we loved Anton Harrison last year, and we raved about him, and he hasn't been great. Barron Sheriff hasn't been great. Ezra Cleveland hasn't been great. And Cam Robinson hasn't been great. So you can change out the center, but again, that doesn't change the totality of the offensive line. Let's get it to a different quarterback before we get your tangent on the other side. We mentioned it in crosstalk yesterday with Joe Cowart. Bryce Young getting benched for the Panthers. I understand that Dave Canales has to go in a different direction right now because his football team is playing
disaster.
miserable football.
Yeah.
I don't know that going to Andy Dalton, though, who's in his mid-30s, is going to be the solution. They also have a really bad offensive line.
Yeah.
You know how you mitigate a bad offensive line? A mobile quarterback. I don't know that the Panthers have the solution right now in Andy Dalton. I think things are only maybe not going to get way worse because they can't really get much worse. But I don't think their offense is going to be fixed with Andy Dalton. I think they need a mobile quarterback until they fix that offensive line.
Yeah, I think that, number one, I mentioned this yesterday. It was honestly sad seeing the clips of Bryce Young during that game because he just looked so defeated and there was nothing he could do. I mean, it was honestly the situation where every time he looked up, someone was in his face. No quarterback is going to succeed behind that. And we talk about it here in Jacksonville, and as bad as this offensive line and struggles have been here, Panthers have been worse. So imagine being a young quarterback who's still trying to figure out the NFL, and also you have a worse offensive line than what you're watching here. Oh, by the way, you also don't have Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. You don't have anywhere close to those weapons in Carolina. So it's not like you even have the safety blanket to launch it down 60 yards and hope somebody can get it. So there's just so many issues. And I said that yesterday that I felt bad.
I still feel bad for him.
I know, I do too. And I get it because, like you said, at some point you have to, it's not working. But is Andy Dalton the answer? I don't think so. We did that experiment in Chicago, and we had one of the worst lines, and it was literally awful. It was terrible. He can't play behind a bad offensive line. When he was in Cincinnati, they had a good offensive line, so he was able to have time and think and be able to make these plays because he actually could read through his progressions and take the time to do that. When he doesn't, it doesn't look pretty with Andy Dalton. And so I don't know if that's your savior. I don't know if maybe they're just like, we don't want to completely ruin Bryce Young, and so let's get him out of there before, number one, he's little, so he gets hurt because he's getting hit every other second. Or maybe they're just trying to save whatever is left there of not turning into a Blaine Gabbert to where he's falling in fetal position every time someone comes after him, because it does get to that point when you get, and we're seeing this even with Trevor, connecting it to here, where there's certain times where he leaves the pocket before he actually has to because he's so used to that pressure coming so quick.
People used to think I was crazy when I would say, draft a quarterback every year until you find the right one.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but how are you ever going to get the weapons that your quarterback needs if you're always drafting a quarterback? I don't really mean every single year, but if you think you don't have the right quarterback after a year, which that to me was what the Panthers felt like with Bryce Young after year one, they could have drafted another quarterback last year instead of, and look, Xavier Legette might be great, but they could have had Bo Nix, for instance.
Yeah.
And then I understand, yes, you're paying the rookie quarterback and all that, but you're not paying him nearly as much as some teams are paying, here now with the extension for Trevor. Get another quarterback in there. To me, you'd be better served as a franchise to have a guy who is going to be the future than toiling and wasting your time.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing for Carolina is that they didn't, because the Bears had their pick, so they didn't even pick until 32, and so they had to wait a long time to even get to that point. And then this year they don't have their second round pick, which looks like it could be the 33rd pick too. They've screwed themselves big time with trading for Bryce Young, honestly.
And that that's why I'm also...
Makes it even worse,
Yeah,
I know.
exactly. That's why I also feel really bad for this kid because, I mean, he was in a no-win situation with the fact that he's not... I don't think he is big enough for this league. And one week, I think last week, Mia compared him to Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray is a much bigger guy.
Yeah.
And look, sometimes, too, you're a good quarterback in college. You're not a good quarterback at the next level. The reason that it's so difficult to be a GM is because they
You have to
swing
figure
and
that
miss
out,
on
yes.
this position time in and time out. And there are people, and there are a lot of Jaguars fans right now that think they swung and missed on Trevor Lawrence. Not only the contract extension and the extra money, but that he's
Just in
not the right
general,
guy.
yeah.
That's what they think. So it's only 2 games in. I was trying to
Breathe a
bring some
little. I
optimism
know, sorry,
and
I turned-
positivity. It's quite all right. I like the arguments and the conversation and looking at it from both sides.
I do want to say real quick, because I know we have to hit break, but the comment that Tom Brady made over this offseason when he was talking about how quarterbacks now are pretty much like they're just it's a miss from the beginning with the league, how they handle quarterbacks now, because back in the day when you used to be able to draft, you would sit, you would take time, you would take years to learn the playbook and learn how to read these defenses and do all of this thing and get used to that speed. Now they're thrown in, and it's really shown, like these quarterbacks that have been thrown in outside of obviously CJ Stroud last year, but if you can go through almost all of the other ones picked in the top 10, 15 the last few years, the high majority have struggled their first couple years, and it's because I truly think that's part of it. Like they're forced into this game very quickly, and then all of a sudden they're like, be the guy, because we drafted you in the top 10 and you have to be the guy right now.
And if a team's drafting in the top 10, they're not
Usually
good.
not good,
So
yeah.
that's also part of the problem.
Yeah.
All right, we will continue the football conversation. Like Taylor said, her tangents on the other side. Today is an Active Health Jacks Tuesday. If you are in pain, give them a call, 904-296-0202. They will treat the source of the problem, and then you will be pain-free. Visit them online at activehealthjacks.com. It's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Someone's going to win a tailgate combo pack from Southern Steer Butcher, valued at $100, and it could be you. Yes! Every month you'll have a shot at a Corona tailgate tent with a cooler, chair, and a collectible football. It's the ultimate tailgate. Enter at 1010XL.com.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny?
That's right, Steve. Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions, repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity, making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
It's time to take it back to the 90s, Jags fans. Be at the bank Sunday, October 6th, as we debut our Prowler throwback jerseys against the Colts and induct legendary head coach Tom Coughlin into the pride of the Jaguars at halftime. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. You're not going to want to miss this matchup. Lock in your seats now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
We're back. Mia here, and winning season is back. Football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions, like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning, folks. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super, Survivor, and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge huge cash rewards. For a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, just use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Not to mention, loyalty pays off with MyBookie Plus. The more you play, the more you win. Climb through tiers of loyalty rewards programs to unlock even more epic promotions. Only with MyBookie.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
Now, it's time to showcase the Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game. Live generously and life will treat you royally.
Logan Cook served up a nice outing for himself in Duval. The 29-year-old punter averaged 52 yards on his 3 punts in the contest, with his longest going 55 yards. When it comes to the punting king in the NFL, you can bet number 9 is wearing that crown. Logan Cook is your Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game.
It's the Gator Podcast Channel with Frank Frangie and me, Dan Hicken, on all things Gators. Hacker and Denny Thompson have Gator Bites, and you can find them wherever you find podcasts or at 1010XL.com. Presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, there's a lab-grown diamond and jewelry sales event going on right now at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Monahan's is known for its natural diamonds and gemstones, but we've had so much demand for lab-grown diamonds that now through the end of September, Monahan Jewelers is having a lab-grown diamond and jewelry sales event. We've brought in a huge selection of lab-grown diamonds and jewelry to meet this incredible demand. Lab-grown diamond sales event now through the end of September at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey ham, melted cheddar and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari, at Bari Orthopedics.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
It's an Active Health Jacks Tuesday as we jam out to No Scrubs by TLC.
Did you put this on?
I definitely did not add this to the playlist.
I don't think I did, but sometimes when I'm drinking, I may add some to the playlist.
For people who don't know, we have a show playlist and we are supposed to add songs all the time. I feel like we all go through phases of like adding a ton and then little breaks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe after the loss, I was like, I don't want no scrub.
And that's what a couple weeks ago I added a bunch of songs to like pump us up on Fridays before game day, but that hasn't worked either. So we're gonna have to mix it up at some point in time. All right, Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders is here. I'm Lauren Brooks. Mia O'Brien is on assignment. She'll join us in the final segment of today's show. But right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
We have some fun numbers for the first 2 weeks of football. And I think that some of these may be surprising. Some of these are just kind of fun facts that maybe people didn't realize. One of these could potentially lead to a hot take.
Oh, is this NFL only?
Yes, NFL numbers. So for the week 2 numbers, 11 games were decided by one score, including 5 that featured a game-winning score in the final minute. There have been 21 games decided by 8 points or fewer this season. Only 3 previous seasons in NFL history had that many within those first 2 weeks, and it was in 2013, 2016, and 2018.
So the schedulers have done a really good job thus far.
These matchups, yes. So 4 teams have started 2-0 after missing the playoffs last year. The Chargers, the Vikings, the Saints, and the Seahawks. And it's the first time since 2021 that many teams are 2-0 after the first 2 weeks.
Which one of those do you think is the most surprising to people, Saints or the Vikings? I feel like it's between one of those two.
Yeah.
Because Chargers is no surprise.
I want to say
not that much of a surprise.
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to say maybe Saints just because I think that people... I feel like almost it was just like, okay, the AFC South sucks and like nobody has a chance pretty much. And then not AFC South, sorry, NFC South. And it was, the Vikings were still kind of in the mix. Like there were people that were like, okay, but because of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and the way they can run the ball and the way they can blitz, they can still at least be in the game, like in it. And even they were talking about the NFC North being one of the more competitive divisions and Vikings still involved in that. I think people would be surprised that Sam Darnold has played the way that he has played. I mean, I think Mia's the only person that I heard saying that they thought Sam Darnold. We'll see how this keeps going.
Yeah.
I think it's some of those situations are when you don't have a lot of film on certain guys, especially with that team. Sometimes things can get going, but they've played well. It's not like some fluke wins. Like they've played well offensively.
Both teams have wins against bad teams, and the Vikings beat the Giants, and the Saints beat the Panthers week 1.
Mm-hmm.
But then they both have
tests last week.
Really good victories over the 49ers. The Vikings beat the 49ers, and then the Saints beat the Cowboys. Yeah. And of course, the Cowboys started off so hot, as did the 49ers. I think the way that the Saints are winning, the score differential, that's the part that people, I think, is shocking to people, including me.
Yeah. And that will be actually one of the numbers that I'll get to in a second. That may be the hot take of the week. This is the whole entire year. I mean, honestly,
change your offensive coordinator. That could be a hot take around here.
Yes. Okay, so the Saints, to your point, the Saints have scored 47 and 44 points, 91 total. It's most by any team in the first 2 weeks of a season in 15 years. That last team to do it was the 2009 Saints that went on to win the Super Bowl that season and the win over the Colts. And so that year they had scored 93 in the first 2 weeks, so 91 this year. They won 13 straight games in 2009, ended up losing that final 3, but went 13-3 and then beat the Colts in the Super Bowl.
I will tell you that's not going to happen to the Saints. And this is not an anti-Derek Carr thing.
I don't know. I truly don't know who's good in the NFC.
Well, that's true. But listen to the next 4 games. The Saints play host to the Eagles. The Eagles are pissed right now.
Yeah, but their defense is not good.
But beware certainly of Barkley and that run attack. Falcons play host to the Saints. So the Saints travel to the Falcons. The Falcons, again, we just saw what they did last night. Good luck covering Kyle Pitts and Drake London. But again, the Saints certainly could beat that game. That's a division game.
They're covering CD. I think they'll be all right.
That's true, too. Saints at the Chiefs, and then Saints play host to the Bucks. That could be a 4-game losing streak if the Saints have been a little bit more smoke and mirrors. And I'm not saying that they're a bad football team by any stretch. They could be top 3 in the NFL right now based off of what we've seen. I'm just saying don't get to the point where we're putting the Saints in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just think that also and someone tweeted this earlier about the NFC quarterbacks, and it's like, honestly, it's getting less and less of the ones that we feel are actually good. Because it's just Jalen Hurts, for example, who was one of the better ones, I feel like kind of fallen on some people's. He looked really, really good in the first half of the game, but again, it's come to this point where he hasn't been able to play 4 quarters of really good football in a while.
So he's really good when he uses his legs.
Yeah. And when he can't, when they shut that down, it's
when
like
the mobility
panic.
is shut down, you're absolutely right. And that's where push comes to shove. Is he the guy that can take them to an NFC championship if they have to put the ball in his hand?
Yeah. And then obviously we've always had the questions of Dak, and Dak has a season that he did last year, and then this year they can barely score. And so, I mean, this week,
week 2
can't score. So it's that unpredictableness of Dak Prescott always. So it is interesting because it's like if it was in the AFC South, that'd be no chance. But when you're looking at those next games, I could see them only winning 1, and I could see them winning 4. Like that's where the Saints are right now in my head.
Yeah, it is difficult to predict just because Derek
Carr, are they?
Right, Derek Carr in the past has been a guy that has been terrible.
Yeah,
we've talked about that a lot on this program. But the last 2 weeks, I mean, first week he had 3 passing touchdowns, 200 yards. And then the second week he had 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but he was 11 of 16. So those are obviously some big chunk plays. That, to me, the Saints, to me, are one of the most fascinating storylines in all of the NFL.
And it's one we didn't really talk about much this offseason because it was like, okay, it's Derek Carr, whatever.
We talked about, can the Bucs repeat or will it be the Falcons with Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. And I think, too, that it will. Alvin Kamara, I feel like every year has one of those games, like what he just did this last weekend.
5 touchdowns.
He'll have like one of those a year, and then it's kind of like, okay, a good game here, a good game here. But he always has the one where everyone's like, oh, yeah, Alvin Kamara is really good on like
He's an option for your gem of the week. I have a feeling he wins.
Yeah, I feel like right now he already is in the lead by a lot. I should have put Kyler Murray in it, and I didn't. But I put Marvin Harrison Jr. because I feel like as a rookie in the game he had was good. But when you go back and see some of the things that Kyler Murray did in week 2 was actually really good.
It should have been Brian Thomas Jr. after his performance and how it should have been more targets to him, but continue.
Okay, so another one, we've got a team that we're kind of tired of talking about, I feel like, at this point. But Mahomes and the Chiefs won with a late field goal, obviously, by Harris Butker, making Mahomes' 76th win and 98 career starts. Must be nice. Tied with Tom Brady and Roger Staubach for the most wins by a QB in NFL history in his first 100 career starts.
Yes, we are tired of talking about them, that's how you know that you're one of the best teams that's ever played the game because they are getting into the dynasty territory. If they're not there already, I think they're already there. And if there had not been a Tom Brady in the 7 rings that he won, 6 in New England and 1 in Tampa Bay,
he'd be the best ever.
We would be saying we are watching the best to ever play the game. And some people will argue he is better than Tom Brady, Super Bowl rings aside. And again, Mahomes has many more years to eclipse Tom Brady, if not tie him. Yeah. But Mahomes can do things that Tom Brady couldn't do. And Brady's, obviously, football IQ, probably the highest we've ever seen. Mahomes he can do things that I think if Brady, even in his prime, was on this Chiefs team, I don't know that the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowls.
Yeah, it is because he can do all of it. And that's the scary thing with Patrick Mahomes is the moment you think, and I've said this a lot of times, the moment you count him out, he does something where you're like... You just like make up passes at this point or make up like the behind the back in the preseason. Who does that?
To me, the biggest thing is when the Jaguars were in Kansas City for that 2022 AFC divisional game. And he basically has a high ankle sprain. Yeah. And again, you think at that point in time,
we're like, we got him.
The Jaguars are going to win this game because Mahomes, there's no way he's going to be able to come back in the second half and play. And of course, we all know Chad Henne led them down for that long drive. And Mahomes did come back in and the Chiefs went on to win. But that's just one example. Yep. There's so many where he just puts the team on his back. And it's frustrating when you're in the same conference. And it's frustrating when your team isn't doing those things or your quarterback isn't. All right, we've got lunch for 2 on Chick-fil-A.
We do. Lunch on the ladies, lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 1.
All right, caller number 1, fastest dialer. You win Chick-fil-A for 2 today. We've got more to do on the other side. We'll get it to more Jaguars talk on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now, the Randy Marion Cadillac Drive of the Game. Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville. Drive to the game in luxury with Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville.
Although Jacksonville found themselves on the wrong end of the scoreboard going into the second half, they would put together a sequence that would get them right back in the contest. Thanks to a 72-yard drive capped off by a Travis Etienne 4-yard score, Duval would cut the deficit to 6 with 1:11 left in the third. The 3-play drive is your Randy Marion Cadillac Drive of the Game.
Hey, John, my dad, Randy Marion's gone absolute Cadillac crazy. You won't believe our Escalade lineup.
Well, how crazy we talking, Jennifer?
Buckle up, folks. We've got over 35 Cadillac Escalades.
35 Escalades? That's luxury overload.
I'm talking fully loaded models, cutting-edge tech, and that signature Cadillac style.
And the deals are even more luxurious. $4,000 Escalade loyalty rebate.
Plus 5% off MSRP on retired courtesy vehicles. Head to Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
Plus tax tag title $899 MNP and resist all.
Tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Mia O'Brien here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clog drains, water heaters to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard.
We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting! Attention poker enthusiasts. The Ladies International Poker Series celebrates its 20th anniversary at Best Bet Jacksonville, September 20th to 22nd. The highlights include a World Poker Tour Mega Satellite, free Q&A session with the First Lady of Poker, Linda Johnson, and Women's Poker Hall of Famer, Jan Fisher. There's also a $300 Ladies Championship No Limit Hold'em tournament and the $200 Kings and Queens event. Don't miss this action-packed weekend. For full details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com. Best Bet Jacksonville, where the cards are hot.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 17, 2004, MLB legend San Francisco Giants outfielder Barry Bonds hits his 700th career MLB home run, joining Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron to reach this milestone.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O. If you want high-quality water in your home at a fair price that won't scare you to death, then talk to someone who knows water and is not a pushy salesman. Contact your local water boy, Keith. I install premium equipment and can repair or even rebuild your existing system. In a business known for aggressive sales tactics, let me show you how my approach is different. If you've got any water problems, contact the water boy at waterboyjack.com.
Integrity, persistence, and standing up for victims. It's what you want in a personal injury case and what my friend and lawyer Glenn Cohen brings to every case for over 40 years. Call Glenn at Barnes, Cohen & Sullivan.
Lauren Brooks here. If you're in pain and you think you've tried everything, I've got a solution for you. The team at Active Health Jacks treats the source of the problem, not just the pain, so you can avoid surgery, cortisone injections, and pain medications. I've had neck aches for years, and I've tried everything from acupunctures to massages with no results. Within minutes of my evaluation and treatment, the tension was gone. It was amazing. Active Health Jacks can help you too. Give them a call at 904-296-0202 today or visit them online at activehealthjacks.com.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website customtreesurgeons.com. That's customtreesurgeons.com and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC, Zero Res.
This is Dr. Michael Iorio, internal medicine physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Thoughts on the Jaguars offense from Jeff Prosser on The Drill.
Our offense stinks. Although this offensive line makes any and all things you try to do just about dang near impossible. They refuse to play the position at an acceptable level. Week after week after week. Stuff rate, pressure. Well, we knew this. Apparently the only person in the world that hadn't known this is Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson.
Jeff Prosser on the drill. Doug Peterson was asked on Monday about his confidence in the offensive line.
Confidence is still high, and it's going to remain high. You know, we just continue to gel these five guys together.
I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale Lighting, Fans, and Home Decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Active Health Jacks Tuesday. Mia O'Brien on assignment. She'll join us in the final segment of today's show. We were just talking about Patrick Mahomes, Taylor, and here's a little salt for our wound. Patrick Mahomes turns 29 years old today. Through the age of 28, he has the most career regular season wins, playoff wins, Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl wins, and Super Bowl MVPs in history. He has 15 playoff wins, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins, that's tied for the most, and he has 3 Super Bowl wins, that's not tied for the most because Brady has 7. I don't know why it says that. And then Super Bowl MVPs, he has 3.
Yeah, that is, when you were talking about somebody who just doesn't stop and you don't see the end of, like,
Ugh.
I mean, I truly can't, how many more, I mean, could you see 10 more years?
And
I
easily.
could feel.
I mean, they do have, 3 kids, or they have the third, or she's pregnant with the third, something like that. So
I think they just had the third.
Yeah, so maybe at some point in time
he's
he
like
wants to become a
family.
family man. That's the only thing that got Brady out of it.
Yeah,
so that's the only thing I can hope. No, it's incredible, and he's not someone either who Mahomes. He's not someone who has to be like in tip-top shape, is what it seems like either, to be this great
And neither
quarterback.
did Tom Brady.
Brady, though, now when you see him,
But,
he's literally aged backwards.
Yeah.
And it does seem like, from what I haven't listened to him closely on the broadcast, but it does seem like he's getting a little bit of criticism to this point.
Yeah, there was, I listened to a little bit. It just seemed like he needed, like, the broadcast team almost set things up for him to try and sound good in a way. Like I remember before in week 1 when they were asking him about like what the offense needs to do to, like, it was like a very specific question, and he gave a very coach speak answer. I wish I could remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of like, oh, well, you've got to, get some momentum and not turn the ball over and something. But like then they send it down to the reporter on the field, and they were like, oh, what, you talked to coach at half. What did he say? And they were like, oh, Tom Brady's must be like, he's great at this job because the coach said da-da-da. And it was like word for word. So it almost felt like they were like, hey, this is what the coach said. Make sure you say this so that people believe you're doing a good job.
I think too, when you're someone with the career that Brady had and the aura that Brady carries, people are going to also look for things to be negative.
Oh, yeah.
And so you
can't be good at everything.
Correct. You don't want this person almost to succeed. It would be the same thing if Mahomes eventually went into the booth. People would nitpick stuff that he said too. I mean,
oh God, that
people
voice, I could not
I know,
listen
right? But people love to pick at broadcasters in general.
Yeah.
And especially when those broadcasters have been super successful. All right, let's get it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We talked yesterday about how the offense is broken. How do you think the defense has played through the first 2 weeks, allowing the Dolphins just 20 points and then the Browns, of course, 18 points? Really 16 offensive points, but then the safety, the total points were 18.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of positives, but I do also think there are some moments of concern. I think that we've talked so much about Josh Hines-Allen and about Trayvon Walker and about the addition of Eric Armstead and what that pressure and pass rush should look like, and I don't think it's looked up to what we thought it would, especially last week. And I know, like, there was obviously 2 backup tackles, and I do think Deshaun did a good job of avoiding a lot of the pressure too. I don't think it was like his line played fantastic, but that's also even more scary because it's not like Deshaun's the most mobile, crazy move on the run type of quarterback anyways. He also just isn't very good anymore. So there is some concerns. I think that week 1, when you looked at it, there was a lot you felt a lot more positive from it because you're covering the weapons that you are in Miami. I think that there's criticisms on Tua, but Tua's numbers, especially the last few years, there's not arguing that him and Mike McDaniel have been able to form something that is just at least consistent and it builds all around Tua's strengths, which is good. I'm not saying he's like this top 5 quarterback, but I think they've been able to make it work so well that he can like kind of hide behind within that top 10 quarterback and be like, I'm here too because I've been able to be successful on all these things that are built around me. And when you're obviously not letting a high-powered offense like that score the way that that most people thought, but then when we go to this last week, and I mentioned this, where you're just kind of like, okay, well, actually, is Miami good? Because they haven't looked like the Miami that we saw in the beginning of last season right away, at least this year. The offense in general hasn't. And I mentioned that after the Miami game, like, is Miami looking at this game like, thank God we won because we did not play good? And a lot of Miami fans, that's more of what they're saying. Like, we kind of got lucky that game because it wasn't our best performance offensively. And so I think that you can take a lot of wins in this, but there are some area of concerns. I saw a stat earlier that both starting safeties had almost a 30% missed tackle rate. Can't have that. You can't miss tackles.
Yeah, our friend Daniel Griffiths tweeted that out.
Yeah.
So that would be an Andre Cisco and an Antonio Jones.
Yeah, and so those two guys, obviously, you want to make them. We've spent a lot of time talking about Cisco. We've mentioned Antonio Johnson. Like, there'll probably be some learning curves in there because this is like his shot this is his position this year, and so I think that does alter that. I could see him continuing to get better. But when it comes to Cisco, there has to be a little bit of concern in there. We also saw there's been some injury issues there. And yet again, you're seeing him get kind of banged up. And that's something you don't want to see, especially with the secondary that's all banged up in general. So I think there are a lot of moments where I could see this continue to just get better. But I do think there are some area of concerns because everyone always does say the defense should be ahead of your offense, which I do think they are because the offense is very suck right now in Trevor's terms, but I do think there's still room for improvement, but that's okay. Like, it's okay to me that with a banged up secondary, with Eric Armstead coming off an injury, kind of easing him into the defense, that there are a little bit of moments where you're concerned, but I think that those will kind of start to solidify themselves and everything will come together within the next few weeks there.
I think Ryan Nielsen's done a terrific job of subbing players in and out, and I think the scheme overall is 10 times better than the scheme has been the last 2 years under Mike Caldwell. But they are allowing some chunk yardage for sure. They did against the Dolphins. They did against the Browns. And while they are more bending, not breaking at times, in other words, they're holding teams to field goals, the first 2 opponents to field goals, they're still allowing those long drives.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they have 0 takeaways. That is something that, again, this time last year, the takeaways were certainly a feature of this defense. And we all know the stat. We're going to keep saying it, that Trevor Lawrence is, now 0-20 when the defense doesn't have a takeaway. You've got to be able to, especially week 1 against the Dolphins. Foye comes down with that ball. Forget the ETN fumble. Foye comes down with an interception. That could have been certainly not game-changing because the Jaguars were up at that point in time, but game-sealing.
Yeah.
And last week, I mean, you've got to in my opinion, there was not even a moment where I thought Deshaun's going to fumble or really throw a pick because they didn't get the pressure that they needed to, and they didn't get close to ripping the ball out. And so I don't know how they start to create those takeaways, but that's something that needs to happen if they're going to be able to beat good opponents. And they've got 2 good opponents in the next 2 games. In the Bills and the Texans. And the pass rush to me, while they've gotten some sacks, it hasn't felt like they've completely harassed either quarterback. And you've got a guy in Tua Tagovailoa who in moments has been a guy that has really felt the pressure and hasn't performed. And then you've got a guy in Deshaun Watson who the week before certainly felt the pressure. And then when he's been healthy, still, he's not a guy that usually can evade the pressure. So those things in totality mean that the defense is pretty good, but it's not great.
Yeah, and I think to your point with the long drives, because I tweeted it right away, 16 plays, 89 yards, 9 minutes. It almost feels like teams are like, you don't have to really score a touchdown, just get the time off the clock and, win that time battle when it comes to, especially in the second half, having the possession more because Jags aren't going to score. Like, it almost feels like at this point teams are coming, like their mindset, and it felt like that was the Browns' mindset. It never felt like they were trying to force things and make too many big plays or really get. Obviously, they scored a touchdown right away, but after that, it was field goal, punt, field goal, punt, 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 punt. Like, it's not like they were like, we've got to score, we're not going to win. They were pretty much just like, wear the clock out. The Jags aren't going to score anyway, so as long as we don't give them too many tries, we'll be good.
Yeah, you're never going to win the time of possession battle when you have 3 and outs. Yeah. That's for dang sure. All right, there's one player on the defense that played against the Dolphins. That would be second-round pick Mason Smith, but he was inactive this past Sunday against the Browns. Here's Doug Peterson as to why.
Yeah, it's you got 53 players each week, and I get a chance to select the 48. And obviously, I visit with the defensive staff, and it kind of goes too off of the prior week. So it's not necessarily what Mason did. I think guys like Big O and Jeremiah also had good weeks of preparation and practice, and it's just an opportunity for Mason to learn and put himself in a position this week to try to be elevated. So it was nothing that he didn't do. I just think it was a fact that Jeremiah and Big O had opportunities to be up this week.
Interesting is what I would have to say, because I thought Mason Smith played well against the Dolphins down in Miami, and he is one of the future pieces of your defensive line, and yet you decided to go with Jeremiah Ledbetter and Asezi Otomoeo. I don't know about that move, but had the Jaguars won, we wouldn't be sitting here questioning it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that right away when the news were announced, everybody was kind of like, no, Mason Smith, that's weird. You use a second-round pick on a guy, you want him at least on the football field if he's healthy, and it didn't seem, most people were like, I don't think it's an injury. We hadn't heard anything. Now it seems like it's not. Whether he got outplayed in in practice this week, and that's what made them lead to this decision. Maybe there's a lot of other things that go into this, so maybe they just felt like the matchup was better for a Ledbetter in this specific circumstance. I don't know, but it doesn't look great when everybody was already critical of this pick, because why are you drafting? There's many other needs. Oh, look, the secondary needed some stuff, and it looks like everyone's hurt. Would have been nice to have one of those high corners right now, but I think that it doesn't look good on your part, but I think we'll see more of Mason Smith, but it doesn't make you feel confident that it feels like he's not even winning in practice to be able to even make the game day roster.
Right. Look, I think he's going to be really good. I'm excited about him, but you have to be able to see him week in and week out, to be able to evaluate. All right, one other comment from Doug. Of course, we've mentioned that the Jaguars play the Bills up in Buffalo on Monday Night Football, and he was asked yesterday, can that be the spark that this team needs?
Oh, they definitely get up for Monday night. You're prime time. You're the only game on around the league, and everybody's watching. So it's a great opportunity for us to go on the road, play a good Bills football team, obviously, and they've had some rest now, with their Thursday night game with Miami, but yeah, it's definitely a great opportunity for our guys to kind of get fired up and look forward to playing.
It better be.
Yeah.
They better not come out flat on Monday Night Football when the nation is watching. And granted, there are 2 games. One's the Jaguars start at 7:15.
Which I like that, by the way.
Yeah, I like that. Other than, if you want your team in the spotlight, you don't want a game opposing them at any point in time. But But maybe you don't. This is a great situation to get out of Jacksonville since that seemed to work last year. Maybe that'll work this year.
I do want to say somebody on the text line had commented, the 838 said, so to your stat when it came to Patrick Mahomes and the more Super Bowls, so by the age of 29, he has more Super Bowls than anybody.
That makes sense because Brady certainly won several of his after that. Yeah, that's right, because it was age related. So thank you, person on the text line, for making sense of the NFL's tweet. I should have known it would be right. It was from the official account. All right, we've got our highlights on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It is an Active Health Jacks Tuesday. Look, if you want to avoid surgery, cortisone injections, pain medications, give them a call, 904-296-0202, or visit them online at activehealthjacks.com. You're listening to 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL Weekly is your one-stop shop for all things Jags, college ball, preps, and more. Subscribe to our newsletter today, and you'll be entered to win free tickets to the Packers game this October. Subscribe, just head on over to 1010XL.com and scroll down to the 1010XL Weekly flash page.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Winning season is back, football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget about it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge cash rewards. And for a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. And be sure to check out MyBookie Plus. It's simple, and you can climb through tiers of the loyalty rewards program to unlock even more epic promotions, exclusive giveaways, and bigger rewards. MyBookie Plus is the lock of the century. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, and make your season a winning season with MyBookie.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, let's talk about diamond cutting. How is a diamond price affected by the way it is cut?
Frank, that's probably the most important question asked about diamonds, because the trade-off between a diamond cut for maximum beauty and one that's not is the diamond's carat weight. You see, diamond cutters buy rough diamonds based on quality and weight. So as they cut the rough diamond, everything cut away affects profits. However, there's specific known cutting parameters, and each deviation from these means they have a heavier, less beautiful diamond. Unfortunately, a customer can't detect all those cutting imperfections. They need expert help about a diamond's cut grade. You see, for any round diamond of a particular color, clarity, and carat weight, there are as many as 10 different prices that can vary by as much as 50%. At Underwoods, we look specifically at how a diamond's cut before we look at anything else, because it's the most important factor when it comes to a diamond's beauty, and to us, whether it should carry the Underwood name or not.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
Being the primary breadwinner in your marriage is a huge responsibility, but that doesn't mean you should continue to be the primary breadwinner after your divorce, too. The attorneys at the Florida Women's Law Group work hard to make sure you're not responsible for supporting your ex any more than necessary. I'm Heather Quick, owner and attorney. Learn how we can help at FloridaWomen'sLawGroup.com or call us 904-204-2359. Divorce for women, by women. Offices, Jacksonville and St. John's.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Owner approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Chelsea here, ready to upgrade your home and save big? Now's the perfect time with Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, it's buy one, get one 40% off on all windows and doors. That's right, buy one, get one 40% off plus flexible financing options to fit your budget. Our custom-built, energy-efficient windows and doors are made with Vibrex, 2 times stronger than vinyl, giving you the durability you need and the savings you want. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to book your free consultation today. Don't wait, this offer won't last. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613. Proud partner of the Florida Gators.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it's shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since '99. Pro-Jax Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for over a decade. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call today for a free estimate or online at projaxroofing.com.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Advanced Business Solutions. After trailing going into halftime, the Bulls-Bulldogs offense lit up the field in the second half to defeat the Bishop Kenny Crusaders Friday night. Leading Bulls was Emmett Gresbin, rushing for 213 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with Naeem Burrows, who picked up 135 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Head coach of Bulls spoke postgame on 1010XL's Friday Night Lights following the win.
Go to halftime, all the momentum is against you. You know, you're down to your rival who you thought that you were going to beat. Our kids getting smacked in the mouth was a wake-up call. And that being able to calm down and just go out and execute our assignments, and our kids calm down, played assignment football on both sides of the ball, and we're slowly be able to impose our will.
Bulls is now 2-1 to start the season and will host Oakleaf this Friday at 7:30. It's 82 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien on assignment. She'll join us in the final segment of today's show. RJ, has this song gotten to you yet? Cowgirls, as many times as you've heard it?
It's certainly stuck in my head, but it hasn't gotten to me as anything like that, but it's certainly a song that's stuck now.
You don't love Cowgirls, RJ?
What?
That's what the whole song's about. All right, let's get into this week's highlights. RJ, take it away.
Now, Heels Highlights. Unbelievable! On 1010XL.
Caitlin Clark is the WNBA Rookie of the Year, and the Fever are playoff bound, and we are focusing on that, not football.
Over Dantas, you have so much size in the front courts. Clark circling her way through, finds an opening and banks it home.
Casey Selden did everything she could do there to try to stop her. It's just better offense.
Indiana will reset. Clark fire away. You bet.
Come on.
Kennedy Urlacher, son of Brian Urlacher, has a solid first start, making his debut for Notre Dame.
Leland Smith on the carry.
I think that was Urlacher again.
Body type. Carr, slip screen, in and out.
Going to be incomplete, but timed out well again. I'll tell you, Urlacher is a quick football player.
Wisconsin freshman offensive lineman Derek Jensen can sing.
We'll start with that final highlight because if you haven't seen it, I cannot recommend it more to go and watch the clip Jen Latta did with Derek Jansen and his family. It is such a moving story because it tells the tale of the fact that he lost his dad. And his dad was a big Wisconsin fan, always wanted him to go play for the Badgers. And he went off hunting by himself and never returned. And they eventually figured out that he must have had a heart attack while hunting. And so there's been a lot of grief for this young kid. And he's been able to just form a lot of really good relationships at Wisconsin. And so the video of him singing this song had gone viral over the summer. Wisconsin had shared it on TikTok. But most people in the college football realm maybe hadn't seen it, unless you're a Wisconsin fan, maybe hadn't seen it until game day put it out there this past Saturday. And a lot of people had seen the video. Like I was talking to Graham Marsh, our good friend from Marsh and Denmark and Marsh podcast. And he said he had seen the video, but he didn't know the story behind it.
Oh.
And so there's just a lot more of emotion that goes into it. And so he decides to sing John Legend's All of Me, which, as most people know, is a really difficult song to sing because John Legend has one of the greatest voices ever. But he gets up there and he just nailed it. And again, you have to see the video because the looks on his teammates' faces are just priceless as here's this kind of shy kid coming into the situation. Yeah. And it is just a fantastic story. Did you get to see it?
I didn't actually.
Oh, you got to watch it.
I got to watch it.
It's only a couple minutes, like 3 or 4 minutes. But it's so good. It will give you...
I love those stories, those moments.
It'll give you goosebumps. Yeah. And of course, I cried during it, too.
Well, yeah, me too. I
probably
will.
But at the end, it has you smiling. And it's one of the greatest things about team sports is that you have those relationships.
Yeah.
Wisconsin obviously didn't have a great day on Saturday against Alabama. On one of the first series, Tyler Van Dyke goes to run the ball, and he was playing pretty well. The transfer from Miami to Wisconsin, and now he's out for the season. He got hit along the sidelines. I'm assuming that it's an ACL. I didn't see the injury, but they said it was a knee. So I'm assuming he has to have surgery and he'll be out for the season. Who knows if he'll try and come back and play another season at this point in time. But I just loved the story. Getting it to another college football play.
Yeah.
We've got Urlacher's son.
Yes.
How early did you know that Brian Urlacher's kid was going to go to Notre Dame?
I think the day that it was announced is when there was like some rumblings, but there was multiple teams that were going after him. And so it was I remember when it was announced and it was like officially committed to Notre Dame and it had him. And it's just cool. I think that I go back because Brian Urlacher, he was drafted in 2000, probably like my first favorite football player. Like I was 9, turning 10 years old that season, and it was like that's when I really started to get into football and like understand football. When you're little, like I'd sit with my grandpa and cheer for it, but like that's when the I started asking questions of like different things that were actually going on and understanding defenses, because that's all we've ever had in Chicago still. So I just remember being like, I love this guy. Like he plays with just this fierceness, and it was so fun to watch. And then when he would get interceptions, it was like this big guy trying to run across, and it was always funny to watch almost because he wasn't fast, but he would get several interceptions or batted balls, and it was always moments where he was just so much fun to watch. So when I saw that Kennedy Urlacher was coming to Notre Dame, I immediately was like, this is kind of fun, just because I get to cheer for another Urlacher. But he got put into this game last weekend, and it was his debut. He's a freshman. He had the highest freshman safety. He was the highest graded freshman safety in week 3 of college football, and he played really, really well. He was all over the field. He was in the alley, just incredible making tackles in some of these plays. Multiple passes defended that he ended up getting the ball out a couple times from some of those receivers' hands. Notre Dame needed that win very bad against Purdue coming off of the Northern Illinois loss, and so it was fun in general to see them put up 66 points, but it was also fun to just see Kennedy come out in his debut and be able to be all over the field, so much so that the announcers were multiple times mentioning his name. And how often are you watching a game where the safety's getting mentioned 5, 6, 7 times?
Right, exactly, especially when it's a freshman, like you said.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of things, Emmitt Smith came back to Gainesville, and his son played for Texas A&M. And Texas A&M obviously pretty much destroyed Florida. Yeah. The score doesn't necessarily show it at 33-20, but if you watch the game, Florida was down 20-0 and really never had a chance. But so some legacies, not that Urlacher didn't go to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so he's not necessarily a legacy, but still, it's fun to see he's from that area as far as the Bears are concerned. And then Mia's highlight is Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. Let's get it now, Taylor, to a clip that you brought.
Yes, there's always the little press clippings. The one obviously this week is Trevor just being like, we suck right now. And that's probably one that other people are listening to being like, hey, at least he's honest. Like he's not trying to sugarcoat this and make excuses. And this was another player that I heard in his press conference, not try to make excuses or sugarcoat anything or make whatever. So Bo Nix, after his loss, Bo Nix I feel like all of the rookies have struggled. Jaden Daniels has probably played the best. We were talking about that on break. He's had some moments of, I think the way he can use his legs has kind of saved him through these first couple weeks, but he's definitely looked the better of the rookie quarterbacks that have played. Bo Nix threw a couple interceptions, and so during the press conference, they asked him, like, hey, kind of walk us through this, what happened on this pick, and this was his answer.
Bo, can you take us through the interception in the end zone?
Drop back, threw it to the other team.
It's just like, what else do you want me to say? Because it was a bad pick. If you go back and look at it, it wasn't like one of the ones where a good play by the DB or got batted. Sometimes you see those ones that kind of pop up in the air. This one just straight up was to the other team's player, the defensive back, so that you can't really say anything.
No, you can't.
It comes to that.
Real quick on Caitlin Clark, she had 35 points in the Fever's 1-point win over the Wings, and so that's very good for her, and I know they'll be in the playoffs, and so Mia can speak more to that when she is back with us full-time tomorrow. The other funny one that came from the weekend as far as quarterbacks are concerned is when Jordan Love was asked why, or not Jordan Love, he's hurt. Malik Willis, who plays for the Packers also now, was asked why he didn't throw a ball on the third down, and because his coach asked him that, Matt LaFleur did, and he said, because Josh threw up on the ball. And if you watch the video, and I don't recommend watching it if you're eating lunch, but you can definitely tell that
throws up on the ball.
The center, just yacked.
Throws up, then snaps the ball.
I mean, well done by the center to be able to keep going. But what would you do in that situation? I feel like I mean,
you got to go. Like, you're a professional quarterback. You just got to go.
I feel like I would
probably throw up personally.
Right.
Because I'm a throw upper when someone throws up.
Absolutely. So. I feel like you have to spike it at that point in time because you're like, and again, this is gross, but that's a wet football.
Yeah, it was, when you go back, if you, like you said, if you're eating right now, don't go back, but watch the clip if you haven't, because it is funny. And it's like the ones you can find where it's zoomed in and you see him just, all over the football. And because it's just such a weird thing to do. I told you, I almost quote tweeted it and was like, I'd throw up too if I had to wear that ugly green and yellow, but they beat us all the time, so I can't really talk too much trash. But yeah, those are just those moments in the NFL. Like, that's what's so fun about having the access we do now, because you get all these little funny quotes from the press conferences and like people in the games. No, I mean, 20 years ago, nobody probably would have even known he threw up on the ball. It just would have been like a thing that got overpassed and been like, okay, well, he just wasn't bad. He'd be like, he threw up on the ball. What do you want me to do with this?
Unless it was on the ESPN, like not top 10 moments. I mentioned the Jags and the Bills Monday night, so that's at 7:30, and then the Commanders-Bengals game in Cincinnati is 8:15. I said I don't really want like the opposing game, but I will say I feel like Jaguars-Bills almost might have a little bit more intrigue than Commanders-Bengals. Maybe I shouldn't say intrigue, but I think those two teams should be better as far as a matchup to watch than Commanders-Bengals.
Yeah, I think someone actually had just texted in on the text line about how the Commanders lead their division right now with a negative point differential. That's a kind of wild stat to have. It is... watching the way Dallas played last week probably shocked a lot of people. And so when you're looking at that division in general, no one was really super intrigued anyways. And then now it's kind of falling short. So I do think that most people, number one, when you're talking about the Bills, I think that people like watching the Bills, what they've been able to do year after year. And then now with losing most of their offensive weapons and kind of having to start over with Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir, they've been able to just keep doing it. But I think the shocking thing when it comes to Buffalo is what you haven't had to worry about a ton in the past is their run game. And now they found their run game. So that to me makes them even more dangerous almost, because previously it was kind of like Josh Allen was running the ball or Josh Allen was throwing the ball to Stephon Diggs. And that's kind of what was happening. And now you have multiple players making catches. You have a run game that's really found itself. Josh Allen doesn't have to do too much like he's had to in previous years, which has turned into a lot of those turnovers he had. And then their defense, like even beat up Bills defense, still is able to be one of the top 10 in the league. And that is just a testament to their coaching staff, a testament to the culture there of how they just keep funneling out these defensive players.
Yeah, James Cook has been really good for them. Yeah. And that's, like you said, they needed the rushing attack to help support the offense, especially with those key players gone. I do wonder how much Gabe Davis' insight and Mitch Morse's insight can help. And I don't mean that because they played there that they're going to be able to tell the playbook or what they're going to do. I'm not saying that. But they understand what they would like to do, certainly offensively. And so that will be an interesting aspect. And look, I think the Jaguars have to find their own identity. And it is, that may be coach speak. It's less about the other team. But I really do think at this point in time, this is a critical juncture for them to come together and figure out what has been the issue on offense. Yeah. And if they can't figure that out, then if the Bills only score 20 points, then they can win the football game. All right, when we come back, we will get it back to college football as Rick Ballou joins us to talk all things Noles. The Noles are 0-3 after losing to Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Memphis. We'll get Rick's insight next. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an Active Health Jacks Tuesday. Find them online at activehealthjacks.com. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Meet Jennifer, talking about her experience with BioTarget Regenerative Therapy at Injury Care Centers.
I'm a music teacher and play the piano, and I was unable to play the piano at all due to pain from carpal tunnel. I did notice a significant difference after the first treatment. I was in immense pain and unable to work, and I woke up the following day able to fully move my wrist again. I was a pill popper. I would take ibuprofen all the time to help manage my pain, and it did not really do a great job. What really sold me was knowing that if it was not successful, I'd be able to get all of my money back. So I would highly recommend it to anybody who's experiencing any type of pain.
Stop masking your pain with harmful medications. There's a better solution. BioTarget Regenerative Therapy has helped countless others, and it can help you too. Call 904-92-REGEN or visit GoBioTarget.com today.
Picture this. You know those little number counter thingies, the ones with the rolling numbers that just keep going up and up and up and up? That's what the selection is like at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Not 100, not 200, not even 3, 4, or 500. Over 600 vehicles in one location. Let's break it down. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That, my friends, is over 600 cars on the lot at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. And if you're looking for buying confidence, check this out. At Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, you get 60 days to love it or exchange it. Need credit help? Arlington has your back with their Credit for Everyone program to help you get financed. Why Arlington? The better question is, why not? Don't wait. Shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
He's fearless in the face of danger when entering enemy territory.
What is your mission?
Get insights and interviews from Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline when he takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Join Jim Furyk and other legends of the PGA Tour for the 4th annual Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, October 4th through 6th at Timuquana Country Club. Get your tickets now, starting at just $25 for grounds passes. Public parking is free, and our military get complimentary tournament access courtesy of ViStar Credit Union. Get your tickets today at Ticketmaster, October 4th through 6th at Timuquana Country Club. The 4th annual Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and your time at home should be stress-free. The last thing you want to worry about is a clogged drain or your hot water not working. So do what I did and call my friends at Fenwick Home Services. They can replace or repair your home's plumbing systems and fixtures fast. Fenwick offers 24/7 same-day service and can fix any plumbing problem you have. With free same-day estimates and guaranteed repairs, the pros at Fenwick Home Services get the job done right the first time. You can also save on future emergencies with $50 off any repair. Online at FenwickHomeservices.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
You don't think this would be a good moment to text somebody?
There's never a bad moment to share your opinion on the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Share your opinion
as soon as possible
at 641-1010.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and Twitter to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
This is Hayes Carlyon for Skylife Elite. Have you ever thought about aircraft ownership as another potential revenue stream and as a tool for tax savings? Put your tax money to work for you while enjoying the benefits of private personal travel. Skylife Elite has over a decade of experience in business aviation and can guide you through the process with their expert staff. Call my friends over at Skylife Elite at 490-9332 or find them at flyskylife.com to get the rundown on everything owning an airplane can do for you.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now, the Seminole Point of View with Rick Ballou. Brought to you by Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Dream it, drive it.
Rick Ballou joins us now. Rick, I certainly never expected 3 weeks into the season that people would be discussing Mike Norvell's buyout. I thought that was only going to happen in Gainesville, but here we are.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. This is a marriage that you're going to have to. This marriage needs some kids. How does that sound? That's probably the best way to describe it. I mean, you're locked in for. Right now, it'd be $84 million. But, after the 2024 season, I think it's $64.5 million guaranteed that he would be owed out of the remainder of his contract. I want to say it's 85% of the remainder of the contract. So, yeah, the difference between this and Gainesville is that you can blow it up in Gainesville and start from scratch. But at Florida State, Mike Norvell better find a way to change what he's doing because that's going to be the deal over there for at least, I would say, a minimum of 3 more years.
Now, Rick, an article came out last week, and one of the coaches in college football called the Florida State defensive line tender. Does that word describe the defensive play so far of what you've seen?
I actually thought that their effort a couple of days ago was the best I've seen in 3 games. Marvin Jones Jr. in a couple of plays made business decisions, which is not a good thing on the football field. But I thought particularly the interior, I thought it was a better day for Farmer. I thought it was a better day for Darrell Jackson. It's the most effort I've seen. And frankly, especially after 3 turnovers, Florida State's defense, very similar to the Jaguars, Florida State's defense was good enough to win that game against Memphis. It was the, just colossal mistakes and the play calling made on the offensive side. So, one of the biggest stories, no doubt, so far is this defensive line that reportedly was paid $2.5 million in the NIL for all 4 of these guys who are expected to be fairly early picks in, April's National Football League draft. But especially in the case of Patrick Payton, who, if you look at him, his length, his body, the way that he is, you would think that he is maybe a pass rush specialist. In the NFL, they had him in coverage 3 times. He got beat on each and every one of those 3, including the game-deciding touchdown for Memphis. And you got to ask yourself, why are you taking your best pass rusher and dropping him back when, you need more of a burst getting to your opponent's quarterback. So, yeah, I think that's a fair term. This Florida State defensive line has been, a huge disappointment, but I do think they played better this past Saturday.
Rick, do you want to see a quarterback change from DJ Uiagalelei to Brock Glenn?
Well, I don't think Brock Glenn's the guy. I think it's Luke Kromenhoek who's going to end up being the quarterback. But I watched him practice twice, so that's what I saw. Now, I talked with people who witness it daily, and unfortunately, the word coming out of Tallahassee is that Glenn and Kromenhoek, neither one of the two have done enough in practice where you're like, yeah, okay, well, let's bring him into the football game. The wording is DJ Uiagalelei still gives them the best chance to win. He's getting, he's the victim here. He's getting picked on by everyone, and I get it. He's a quarterback with 40 career starts, and it's been terrible. But I think the play calling has been atrocious. The strength of what we thought would happen with Florida State's offense was their rushing attack, and that has been non-existent. And then you look at 7 drops 2 weeks ago against BC. They had 3 more huge drops Saturday against Memphis, including Keziah Holmes, who, if he catches a simple screen pass, he takes it in for a touchdown. So the long-winded answer is, yeah, I'd like a quarterback change only because DJ Uiagalelei, whether they win games or they lose games, he's nothing more than a Band-Aid. And what I think Florida State has to do now is keep these younger guys around. Don't let them hop into the transfer portal. And the only reason that you're going to be able to accomplish that is by playing these younger guys and getting them ready for next year. See, the Florida State fan base has already sacrificed this season, and they're like, get ready for next year and see what you can do. But that's not what Mike Norvell is thinking. He's thinking, I got to win a football game. Can I get it done against Cal this weekend? That's why he, doubled back again today and made it crystal clear to everyone that DJU is going to remain his starting quarterback.
I think an interesting conversation, Rick, that we've talked about when it comes to Norvell, and I know you talked about it in the beginning, but a lot of people point to the fact that his record outside of Jordan Travis. But it's interesting to me because I feel like a majority around college football, if you don't have the quarterback, it usually doesn't look good. And you can list a lot of examples. I mean, even if you go back to Brian Kelly's time at Notre Dame, a lot of their Achilles heel was just they never had the quarterback to take them over that hump. Do you think that record with and without Jordan Travis is what is leading to this conversation, or do you just think overall product right now is more so what's leaning towards that Norvell frustration?
Well, I mean, it's a fair number, and I think it's 2-11 now without Travis. I mean, the only 2 wins were Louisville, Florida, and Louisville. I mean, that's fair. That number doesn't lie. But the point is interesting, Taylor, because this is where you put yourself. Okay, what if you go through this season with only DJU? And, even last year, Florida State was never good enough. They won 19 straight games. This sounds ludicrous, but it's the truth. Florida State's not good enough where they put teams away where you could get your second and third team quarterback reps. And the best teams in college football do that. You would think a team that won 19 in a row would be in that position, but it was never the case. So do you have a quarterback? And in order to win today in college football, you need a great quarterback. Let's just say DJU rolls out the rest of this season. Then you're going to go into 2025, and it's going to be the same deal. It's going to be, who's the quarterback? Is it Brock Glenn? Is it Luke Kromenhoek? And you're going to look at their numbers and see that they have had almost zero experience. So by doing it this way, not only is he cost Florida State the 2024 season, but he's putting them in a bind in 2025 because you don't know who the quarterback is going to be. That's why Florida State fans are like, okay, we get it. This season is awful, but at least play a quarterback who is your future so you can look at things and say, all right, it is Glenn, it is Kromenhoek, or it's neither of the two. Then you got to go back out there and you got to find yourself another quarterback. I mean, I know you got the freshman here who's hurt at Mandarin who's coming in, or do you go through the transfer portal and try to bring in another veteran? So, that's the biggest concern right now with Mike Norvell is that, in my opinion, if this doesn't change, he's sacrificing the 2025 season under center as well.
Rick, let's look at this week's game going up against Cal. They've played two pretty easy teams, and then they've beaten Auburn. They have a quarterback who's pretty good in Fernando Mendoza, not as good as Seth Hennigan for Memphis was, but they also have a rushing attack that could be pretty good with Javion Thomas. How do you see, I was shocked, honestly, that Florida State was favored, but how do you see this week's game going?
Well, I actually stayed up late night and watched them. They played San Diego State, and it was a fairly entertaining game, and it's one of these classic old-school Pac-12 type of offenses that can do a lot of different things, and, I'm not I haven't taken a deep dive into Cal, and frankly, I don't even know if I will before kickoff. I mean, I did on Memphis, and it really didn't do me any good.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens here with Cal. But, yeah, I mean, to pick Florida State right now is no, right? I mean, Cal, I'll say one thing about Cal. Not only do they look like an entertaining football team, but they showed a ton of juice. They showed a lot of excitement. I think I made that point to you ladies back in week one when Florida State looked so flat in Dublin. It was that Notre Dame Texas A&M game, and then it was the LSU USC game on back-to-back nights. And yeah, there were 2 winners and 2 losers, but the game was exciting, and both teams looked like they were totally into it, and it was almost disappointing that there had to be a loser. That's the way I looked at Cal again the other night. Looks like they're having a good time out there. The effort is not in question, and all of these things that you say about Florida State have been true. I mean, the film does not lie, and you got players there that are not giving it 110%. So I mean, right now on a Tuesday, you have to pick Cal, and where I'm at with this schedule, I don't think I can pick Florida State again this year until they win a football game. That's what they have to do first.
Or until they play Florida.
Yeah, somebody has to win that week.
That's no guarantee there either. I mean, there's a lot of, especially when you look at injuries on both sides. I mean, what could that roster look like in 10 weeks?
Yeah, Rick, I'm going to read you a few of the stats from that Cal game this last weekend, and I feel like this is the key to success if Florida State wants to win because, so Fernando Mendoza, Lauren mentioned him, but he was sacked 6 times last week. The team had 12 penalties that cost them 113 yards. They failed all 3 4th-and-1 plays. The receivers dropped like 6 passes, and their kickers 2 for 6 in the last 2 games. So I feel like there's a recipe there. If you want to win, you just got to take advantage of those things.
38-14 Cal over Florida State Saturday night. Yeah, absolutely. They absolutely made a lot of mistakes. No question about it. I wonder where they were 2 of 6 as far as field goals. Is that in one game?
And this year, they're so far.
Yeah, this year. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, listen, that should be something that, we thought was going to be a major strong point for Florida State this year, and that is, getting after the quarterback. I want to say Peyton has 1 sack. I want to say Farmer has 1 sack. I want to say Marvin Jones Jr. Excuse me, doesn't have anything right now. So maybe this is a ball game in which they're able to turn it on. I know you ladies have traveled out to San Francisco and those parts as well. It's a long flight.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming in all the way this way. It is a long flight, and I think that does matter somewhat. I don't think it matters as much in the NFL because they're professionals and they've been through it. But, in this particular instance, they do catch a break with it being at night. I mean, last week's game was at noon. That would be much better served for Florida State to get them early because of jet lag, although in most instances you'd like the home team to play a night game because the fans can certainly get lathered up and they're a little bit more into it. But yeah, that'll be interesting as far as one of the intangibles going in, just how ready is Cal.
All right, Rick, we will be listening to you later on.
Hey, the sun's out today. What a beautiful day.
It's and not only is the sun out, it's also not 100 degrees. Yes. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's a great day. Thank you so much, ladies. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Rick.
Talk to him in a couple weeks. Yeah, look.
I feel like Maurice Jones-Drew might be able to help them.
Because they can't run the ball. I told you last week 1.5 yards per carry.
You can't.
And you thought with the transfer of Wardell Williams in and you had Lawrence Toafili that you would be able to run the ball. DJ can be mobile. Like you thought that would be a strength.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the drill mention this. FSU, out of the 133 teams in FBS football, they're running yards 132nd.
Ugh.
Their rush attack is second to worst in all of college football.
Yeah.
And that includes teams like Kent State, who Tennessee was up 65-0 at the half. this past week. All right, we've got one segment to go. Mia O'Brien will join us, and we will wrap the show. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an Active Health Jacks Tuesday. You can give them a call, 904-296-0202. If you're in pain and you want to avoid surgery, you could also find them at activehealthjacks.com, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Mortgage rates have plummeted, and Loan Pronto clients are locking in the lowest rates we've seen in years. Hey, it's Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's happening. We are finally locking APRs in the 5s, something we haven't seen for a long time. If that sky-high rate is killing you or you need to get cash out of your home equity, now is the time to take action. Or listen, even if you want to keep that first mortgage rate intact, you can take advantage of lower rates with our Equity Express line of credit. We're seeing homeowners take 50, 75, 200 grand or more out of their equity and wiping out that high-interest debt with an average savings of $850 per month. Bottom line, your home value is way up and mortgage rates have come way down, making this a great time to act. Call today for a 30-second rate quote. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
Now at Hodges Mazda, get ready for an incredible offer and drive home the 2024 Mazda CX-5 with 0% APR for 36 months. Lauren Brooks here. The Mazda CX-5 combines sleek design, advanced technology, and a responsive drive, making it the ideal SUV for your everyday adventures. Discover the Hodges Mazda difference with the non-commissioned sales team who are always focused on your best interests first. Plus, you'll get 2 years of free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com. See dealer for details, terms, and fees for qualified applicants. Expire September 30th, 2024.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Want to make sure he gets to the game on time?
Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation, with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Duck Duck Rooter is currently hiring in all departments. We want great plumbers, CDL drivers, drain field installers, and lift station technicians. If you have experience in your trade and love to deliver a super high-quality level of customer service, you have found the right company. You will enjoy our benefits package that includes excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, and working for the best in the industry. Apply at duckduckrooter.com. That's duckduckrooter.com. And click on the careers page. Duck Duck Rooter is an equal opportunity employer.
Most goals have a clear course, like planning a trip. But when it comes to losing 40 or 50 pounds, that's a different story. Except with Awaken 180, a clear course to fast, proven weight loss with free support for life. It's awaken180weightloss.com.
Now, the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Jacksonville looked to gain some momentum in the second half while facing a deficit, and it would come at the perfect time thanks to their rookie sensation. In the third quarter, Trevor Lawrence would find Brian Thomas Jr. deep for a 66-yard gain. That would help Duval greatly in their scoring drive to cut the Cleveland lead to 6 with 1:11 left in the third. The Brian Thomas Jr. catch is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting. Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor was a guest on Monday of The Drill and spoke about what he sees in the 0-2 Jaguars.
I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing. I'm seeing a team that's struggling in the red zone, going, 1 for 4 in the red zone. I'm seeing a team who only gained 7 yards passing in the first quarter, 9 yards in the second quarter. I'm seeing bad offensive play. I'm seeing bad play calling from the offense. I'm seeing just struggles all over the field. I'm seeing defense that can't get off the field to a bad Cleveland Browns team.
Fred Taylor on The Drill. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
I'll cool down by saying what we started the show with, and that is, Jaguars fans, there's still hope. If the Jaguars take care of business the next 2 weeks, and if the Texans lose to the Vikings, which is certainly possible, then you'll have the same record as the Texans, and the sky will stop falling.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the beginning, and I just think that you have to look at the positives. You have to find the positives and where you can. And for the first 2 weeks, we were talking about week 1. It was a whole lot of Trayvon Walker and how impressed we've been with Trayvon Walker. And then this last week, I think we, gave our flowers to Buster Brown because he came in and had to start in a game. And yes, we know it's Deshaun Watson. They still have Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy, who are good players. So it's not like he was covering schmuck wide receivers. He was covering good wide receivers. He had the one penalty that I think hurt. But these are the moments when you're losing games you feel like you should win, and especially the ways that they've lost both, that you do have to try and find the positives where you can, because eventually you hope that things start flowing, and that's what it is all about to me. We talk about the offensive line and them getting better. That's definitely a big part, but you need a flow in your offense, and you just feel like you don't have it. Eventually, you feel like it has to get there. There's way too many way too much talent on this offense for it to fall short the way that it has. And I think that, does that fall in coaching? Does that fall directly on the line? And we named it yesterday. We think it's a little bit of everything. But at some point, if the flow starts working, if they find that and they start finding that rhythm, then I do think this has a potential to be the offense we've said it should be the last 2 years. You just got to get there, and what that takes, I don't know. And that's where my concern is I don't know the number one, here's the obvious, just do this and it's worked, because I don't think it's a matter of one thing working.
All right, let's say hello to Mia O'Brien. Mia, after listening to all that, what say you?
Geez, you guys are still harping on the Jags. The big topic of conversation here at the UNFJEA Women's Scholarship Luncheon was the Knowles. A couple of Knowles digs here. No Jags digs for the most part, though. But I do think, if I could comment a little bit on the Jags front before we, of course, give a little segue and a little shout-out to our friends at UNF, which is part of why I've been on assignment here today on today's program. I've had some interesting conversations with some of the, not only folks in the building, but here at this event today with some of the biggest leaders in our city. And I think that this is really a moment for Trevor Lawrence to not only prove the haters wrong, but to prove himself right. We heard from Doug Peterson throughout the course of the offseason that he saw a different gear from Trevor, not only on the field, but off the field, that mental makeup. It had taken the next step. And I think, especially today, with the nature of this presentation that I was just a part of, in which we talked about, oh, wait for it, you thought you'd get away with it. But without me there today, without an Iowa reference, we talked about Caitlin Clark and this idea of the number one overall pick has to go to a franchise 9 times out of 10, I don't care what sport it is, to a franchise that has struggled. And certainly Trevor did that. The details of his first season in the NFL are well documented. But at what point can you take that next step beyond, well, it's a team and a franchise that has struggled, to we are now moving into this next phase because of this number one overall pick? And I think that is, if I'm Trevor, I'm looking at this as an opportunity. I know on Instagram he posted about how adversity builds character. This is an opportunity for him on Monday Night Football on a national stage to say, you know what, I am that guy. There is a reason they paid me. I understand I only lost twice in college, twice in high school. I've piled up losses here in my NFL career in just 3 years and 2 games and change. But this is where this stops. And I think it's a unique opportunity for him that I think he's ready for. But we'll see on the field on Monday night in Orchard Park.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing, is when he posted yesterday, adversity is a great teacher. Don't grow weary. And that speaks to everything that we talked about yesterday, a little bit of today. We certainly talked about the Knowles as well. And that is, when your back's against the wall, how do you respond? And the season's not over for any of the teams, whether it's Florida, Florida State, or obviously the Jaguars. They have a long way to go. And it's just, there are still opportunities to be able to turn the team around. And that is going to build into the next season, certainly for the college teams.
Yeah, and I just think that, as much as we say, it's a long season, you can't dismiss that entirely, Lauren, because every game matters. There's only 17 of them in the NFL, and the college ranks, if you don't make the playoff, there's only 12. And so you can't just dismiss it as, we're fine, we're good. Travis Etienne said in the locker room after, obviously, an impassioned rant that we went through yesterday, and we played for you guys here on the Superstation, he said, he's like, 10, 12 weeks from now, we'll be laughing at all of this, so long as we do our job. It's time to do the job. And I think that hopefully that's being understood in that locker room. From what I've been told, there, and Doug said it yesterday on the Zoom call, there have been some difficult conversations over the last 24 hours. I think that, ironically enough, the Buffalo Bills are a great example of a team that changed who they were midway through the season and were able to flip the switch. And so that's part of why I really, I think this team is going to have to lean heavily on Mitch Morse, Eric Armstead, guys that have been there before, because once again, just like last year during the 1-5 end of the season, those guys had never experienced anything like that, didn't experience bouncing back from it outside of the 2022 season, in which they started 3-7, and bounced back after the bye week. And so it's going to be fascinating. The Bills are proof, among other teams, that it's never too late, but at some point or another, it's going to be too late early out there.
Yeah, I think fans at this point, and not saying everybody, but I think a lot of fans are wary of that adversity and the back against the wall, because the way the season, ended last year, and then obviously the way these last 2 games ended, because those are moments when your back was against the wall and you had the opportunity. You win one more game last year, you're in the playoff, you get both chances towards the end of the game in week 1 and week 2 to drive down the field and score and win, and you can't. So that's where that hesitation is coming in for fans. Obviously, I hope the players feel different. I hope that they're like, okay, look, it is only 2 weeks. We were this close to being able to win. You just got to get over that final hump at the end of games and make those big plays happen. And do I think they can? Yes. I was talking about how I feel like they have all the talent on the offense that it takes, but you also have to put all of that talent together and execute it on the football field. And we haven't seen the execution part, and that's where the issues come in.
Hungry dogs run faster, Taylor. It's time to see how hungry the Jags are.
All right, that's going to do it for us today with you, Mia, but we will see you here tomorrow.
Yes, see you guys tomorrow. We'll do a little bit of an early version of our picks since I will also be on assignment on Friday. But looking forward to getting back with you guys at the Superstation mañana.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, it's going to be another huge test this Monday night. And right now, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
Matt Hayes joins us ahead of XL Primetime coming up next. Matt.
What up, Heels?
Hello. It feels like there was a point in the game on Sunday when in the press box you could see this like fog kind of rolling in. And literally that's
Doom.
That's what it feels like the first 2 weeks of the season is that fog has rolled in, and it doesn't feel like this season has gotten off to the start that anyone expected.
It's like in the horror movie when you just know that part's coming where you're like,
There's not a thing you can do about it. It's just like you may be yelling at your TV, behind the door.
Behind you.
But no, it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, it's what we detailed yesterday. I know you had a vacation day yesterday, but lots of Jags to break down, and the really ugly loss to the Browns. And then on the college football front as well, you have now Florida with an ugly loss to Texas A&M. Memphis beats FSU. Georgia almost lost to Kentucky. LSU somehow, someway beat South Carolina thanks to some penalties. That game was wild. But football's a lot more fun when your team wins.
Yeah, what did I say last week to you guys? I said we have 3 teams in our area that are all must win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
LLL.
And nobody can do it. Yeah.
All 3 of them.
I mean, the Jaguars had the best chance, maybe FSU second best chance. Florida had no chance winning that game. But the Jaguars literally had multiple chances, like Taylor said, at the end of the game. Even though the safety happened, you still had a chance to win that football game, and they let it slip out of their fingers.
Yeah, it's so I was driving to Orlando yesterday at an event I had to go to in Orlando, and I was driving back this morning, and I texted Dave Campo, our coach, who, maybe the most, reserved guy that among our group, probably in this building, actually, when we talk about the Jags. He's very like, all right, let's wait and see. So I texted him and said, it's on today, buddy. You're getting after it. And he wrote back, I think I'm with you.
Ooh.
So it's going to get interesting today on
Yay.
XL Primetime.
I want to see fired up Coach Campo. If you Google it, you see the pictures. I want to get it on here.
Oh, yeah. He's when he was a coach?
Yes.
Watch out, baby.
Yes. Matt, I read these some of these numbers to Rick Ballou when we had him on talking about Florida State. So Cal quarterback Fernando Mendoza was sacked 6 times last week. The team had 12 penalties that cost them 113 yards. They failed all 3 4th-and-1 plays. The receivers dropped 6 passes, and their kickers 2 for 6 on field goal attempts in the first 2 games. This seems like it's a recipe for here's your chance, Florida State, but he just still said 38-14, I think is what he said. Cal.
So, listen, I'm going to give you some more numbers, okay?
And by the way, they won.
Right, they did win. Cal's defense is giving up 288 yards a game. They're giving up 12.3 points a game. They lead the nation in turnovers for us at 10. This is a good team going in Tallahassee. So, Rick might be right. I don't think it's going to be that big.
Yeah.
But if you don't think Cal can beat Florida State this weekend and move Florida State to 0-4.
I could beat Florida State at this point.
I mean, that absolutely could happen. Oh, by the way, you better believe Mississippi State can beat Florida because now they're embarrassed. They just got thumped by Toledo last week. They were down 38-7 at one point. They lost 41-17. They'll be different. It's an early kick, early in the heads of the Gators too, because it'll be 11 a.m. for them. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a dangerous spot. We might have a little deja vu when Zook's team went in there and lost to Mississippi State that had just lost to Maine the week before. And now Napier's taking a team in there, and if they lose to a team that just lost to Toledo the week before, I don't know how much longer that Ken Fox can dig in.
Look, if Billy Napier isn't willing to change things as far as this coaching style, and to this point, 2 games and 2 years and 3 games in, he has shown that he's not willing to change things, then it doesn't matter. The result of this one game, doesn't matter. The fact that Florida's favored in Starkville shocks me, but the end result now is who's the next coach. That's really the only thing we're going to be talking about for the rest of the season because, oh, by the way, Mississippi State and UCF are the 2 teams that are on deck as far as teams that Florida could beat. But there's not another team after that except maybe Florida State.
No, UCF's a good team.
Right, and that's why I say might. Only if he's willing, though, to change the things that he's been doing. And to this point, like I said, he has not.
Can you imagine 2-9 against 3-8 in that Sunshine rivalry?
I watched every second of both those games. Yes,
what channel are they putting that on?
That'll be
Comedy
on
Central.
ESPN.
They should move it to Friday night like they did a couple
I was
going to
say ESPN Plus, but I'm going to use that line. That's a great line.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Thank you, lady.
And
thanks, Matt.
I have a feeling I know what's coming up on XL Primetime as a ton of football.
Fired up, Coach. Let's go.
Yeah, I love it. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dell, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is coming up next.